Geek Out! Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's a podcast about Superman. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Superman Sessions. Today, our special guest is one who I think has been on every single special thing I've done as a guest. And that's Sam Stone. Oh, and Chris Nolan. Dab. Basically, this is
an audio
just
medium, so you have to tell them that
dab action. Basically, this is just like some purgatory episode of Geek Out because it's just a normal show. But we weren't going to do this this Superman thing without Mr. Chris Nolan.
At least once.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the Superman, electric blue Superman poster staring at you every time you're here.
Breathing down my neck. And we
judging you.
We kind of did you and I did the prototype one where we did Lethal Weapon 4 and didn't we end up casting casting the death and return of Superman with Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah.
It wasn't even I don't even know if it's Lethal Weapon 4 actors, it was like the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Riggs.
Mostly because it's funny, and that was the one time Riggs doesn't have a mullet in Lethal Weapon 4. And Death and Return.
Unfortunately.
Now, this will be an episode that we've kind of done this episode over the course of Geek Out. We end up, like a default thing, we always end up talking about a Superman. But for the fellow dabbers at home, Chris, let's go back to talk about your introduction to the Man of Steel, and then we'll kind of go from there. So give us your kind of background, not just maybe Superman, but comics in general, because I know they're very tied together tightly.
So one of the earliest memories I have as a child is just being, about your size, so a toddler.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair.
But as like a toddler, running around just constantly in Superman pajamas with the Velcro cape that you have on your microphone stand right there.
No, it's my favorite thing about this house.
Yeah, I wish I still had the rest of the pajamas. I don't think they'd fit anymore.
They probably fit me.
Yeah, if you could get them over your head.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I would, I don't remember my initial exposure to Superman, but it probably was the Christopher Reeve movies.
Yes.
Because I do remember having seen those. And, I'm sure there was like Superman cartoons and just Superman in general was in pop culture.
With the Christopher Reeve Supermans, do you remember if it would have been something where like your parents might have owned them or renting them, or is it a family thing, or is it something you stumbled across on TV? I mean, do you remember kind of the...
I know we didn't own any of them until I got the DVDs. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't, it wouldn't have been owning them, but we might have caught them on TV. My parents... I mean, just like generic, kids are always, exposed to superheroes, growing up, especially now more than ever, I'm sure. But like, even back when we were little kids, like superheroes was always like a safe bet for like, oh, kids like Superman.
Yeah,
and
everyone
Batman
knows who Superman is.
So like, I just was exposed to it somehow, and I'm sure like the Max Fleischer cartoons, or something on like Saturday morning cartoons. There was surely Superman. So Superman was already in my my repertoire, or a better word, from the get go.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my first memories is my mom's doing the dishes, and I'm wearing my Superman pajamas, and I find like a pair of reading glasses around. And I run up to her, and I'm like, look, I'm Superman. And she's like, oh, hi, Superman. And then I run away, and I put the glasses on. Don't change out of the Superman,
of course,
PJs or anything. Just put the put the glasses on, run back to her, and I'm like, look, I'm Clark Kent. And she's like, oh, Clark, where'd Superman go? And I'm like, ha, my mom's dumb. Doesn't she know that it's just me with glasses?
That's almost as silly as the moment in the first Superman movie where he jumps out the window and his outfit just disappears and he's in the Superman outfit.
Yeah. Basically, which is probably where I learned it. But yeah, so that, and then my mom always tells the story about how once she was shopping at a supermarket, a Giant around here, and I wandered off, and I somehow managed to get outside, and this is like late fall, maybe early winter. Like, it's gotten cold, but I'm just sitting there in my Superman pajamas because that's the only thing I would wear. Mm-hmm. And I'm like shivering outside, like where the carts, get put back or whatever. And one of the employees comes over the speaker and is like, says something to the effect of like, if Superman's mom could come to the front of the store, your son is looking for you or whatever. Mm-hmm. Superman is looking for you.
Then an old lady from Kansas showed up.
Yeah, right.
Come along, Clark.
Martha.
Yeah, Martha.
But yeah, and she always adds the addendum. Why didn't they bring me back inside the store? They just left me out there in the cold. And
because you're Superman.
Yeah, right. I can handle it.
it.
Yeah, if I need to warm up, I just shoot my heat vision.
That's right.
But yeah, so there was that. So growing up, like I was like obsessed with Superman.
Yeah.
And then like around around early elementary school, I decided that Superman was dumb. Babies like Superman.
Babies like Superman.
Yeah.
There's a legion of baby fans.
Yeah, right. It was probably also like around the time that like like Batman Returns was coming out. Mm-hmm. Like I was 6 or 7, so I was getting pretty tough by the time like Batman Returns came out, and I was like, yeah, I'm into this darker, edgier stuff.
Yeah.
You couldn't handle it. You're a Superman fan. And I'm just walking around Another Universe, this store. I assume you guys know
Springfield
of it.
Mall.
Yeah. I mean, they had more, but they're an online store.
It was Springfield Mall.
And I got really sad when Another Universe closed down because that was like my store. Like, that was like my hot topic. But they had like a comic book section. And like for whatever reason, I would like look around it. Of course, the big draw being that they had the Predator suit chilling there right in the entrance door. But so like I would go in and be like, oh, this is so cool. It's all full of sci-fi nerdy stuff. Before I even knew that was like fringe stuff that you couldn't find anywhere else because I was exposed to Another Universe at an early age. It was something normal for me. But so yeah, of course they had comic books there too. And I see this thing. This trade paperback called The Death of Superman. And I was like,
good.
Yeah. No, I literally was. I was like, yeah, good.
And there was just a bunch of babies sitting around it crying.
Yeah, exactly. Just a mound of babies just in tears. Just an amorphous blob.
Yeah, of babies.
And I was filling a
burning
cup.
their Superman jerseys on ESPN.
Yes. And yeah, like I was like, yeah, good. I want to see how that happens, because he's a little punk ass bitch. Yeah. Like let's see how he died.
Out of my way, babies.
Yeah.
You can't afford this anyway.
Yeah.
I'm 7. I mow lawns.
Yeah. Yeah. I get an allowance. It's like $7 a week or whatever.
Guess who vacuumed their bedroom?
Ooh. Finished all my peas.
Yeah. Here's 50 cents, you nerd.
You get a penny for every pea you eat. But yeah, so I asked my mom to buy it for me because I didn't have that much money. I didn't have $15 or whatever the price of a trade paperback was back then.
Yeah.
So then I go and read it, and I was like, oh wow, that's a really cool story. Like I think I read it in one sitting. Mm-hmm. And technically I think that was like the first like legit comic book that I ever read. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, Superman's dead. Cool. I can go on with my life. And then like, a couple months later, I'm back in Another Universe.
Yeah. Well, that being your first comic you've read, you would have thought death was permanent in comic books.
Yeah, exactly. Most people at that point still thought death was pretty permanent in comic books because it wasn't until a year later. Mm-hmm. but yeah, some time passed, and then I see new issues of Superman in my another universe, and I'm like, huh? What's this? He's dead. And I see this gigantic...
And there's a baby in the back going, fuck you, Chris Nolan. Fuck you, he's back.
Yeah, it's the same baby. Hasn't aged.
Yeah. Do you like apples, Chris? Yeah. How do you like them apples? And it's the return of Superman pressed against your garage door window.
And Good Will Hunting hadn't even come out yet. Yeah.
That good.
Stole it.
Stole it from a baby who was psyched about the return of Superman.
Exactly. But so...
and I was that baby.
Yeah, and Sam Stone was the baby.
And I'm the baby. But so I check out the return of Superman, or the reign of the Superman, I guess. And it's even cooler to me. Like, I thought it was even an even cooler comic. So then, like, here and there, I would like go into another universe and pick up trades, from time to time.
Yep.
And then a couple years later, my mom hands me this article. It's in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. So big that it made it to the Washington Post about how within a month's time, Superman was going to be turned into an electrical being. And my mom's like, "Can you believe this?" And I'm like, "Huh?" So confused. By this point, I had gotten back into Superman. Like the Batman Superman adventures on the Kids WB had come out, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And things of that nature. Were I was like, "Okay, it's okay to like Superman again." He's had a couple cool stories. I had been exposed to like the Dead Again story, or the death of Clark Kent and stuff like that, and like I enjoyed those things. By
the time this is going on, though, those babies have grown up, and now they think Superman's lame.
Yeah,
and they think you're lame.
Yeah, right. They're like, "Oh God, this guy's even lamer because he's not even a baby.
Yeah,
he must be a baby in his soul."
Yeah,
a
baby in his soul.
But yeah,
just a little baby inside of Chris Nolan. Soul baby. Riding on a wave of souls, baby.
Like in 2001, there's just a
it's like Quaid in or it's like a Total Recall.
Yeah, Quaid.
Stop the reactor, Quaid. Free Mars, Quaid.
What is his name?
Kuato?
Yeah, Kuato. Thank you. Yeah, because it's not Quaid. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
they're all Quaid.
Randy Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
I am Quaid.
Yeah.
Quaid.
Yeah, Quaid.
Quaid Lude. Thank you. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, this has piqued my interest with a P-I-Q, because that's how you spell that. Piqued.
Shit.
Yeah, it's piqued my interest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check this out. So I go. So my mom actually finds a local comic book shop called Burke Center Comics. It's in Burke Center. This is OG shit. It still had the bookstore attached to it and Earthing. I don't even know if you guys know about that. You probably do because you're nerds. Yeah. But so it was like the local comic book shop, and I get I pick up the issues leading up to it. I'm trying to read the poster right here. Superman 123. I think that was the
beginning this March in Superman number 123 and continuing in the Adventures of Superman Action Comics, Superman the Man of Steel, and Superman the Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah, because all of those titles had interlocking continuity.
Yeah.
The only, as far as I'm aware, the only DC comic to really do that, at least
across multiple titles.
Well, like I mean, like doing it like year round, not just like during special events, like like War Games,
No
Batman,
Man's Land.
Yeah, Batman would have continuity between all of the different titles, but like typically
to the point where it felt like a weekly series.
Yeah, whereas so Superman at this time was a weekly series, just under different monikers, different creative teams working in tandem. Man of Steel being my favorite because Ed McGuinness's art.
Yes.
is cartoony in a way that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But so I ended up getting a subscription to all 5 titles of Superman, and just like eating it up, and like so Electric Blue Superman was my actual so Death of Superman was my introduction to comic book to like the Superman comics.
Yes.
But like ultimately Electric Blue Superman was my introduction to comic books as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I started, I was reading comics regularly. So then like every once in a while you'd be like, oh, here's Batman for a special issue, and here, and then asterisk, here's, the issues of Batman that have been, tying into his storyline, so you understand what he's talking about, in this thing. And then I'd be like, well, now I got to go read those.
Yep.
And then I would have to get more Batman comics to understand the context of all that stuff. And then I would just be like, okay, I guess I'm reading Batman now too. So like it became like a thing where I was, picking up, a bunch of comics a week.
Yeah. I got to ask, where did you get that poster?
That poster? I think Burke Center Comics was selling it.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's how I got it. And then my mom has this obsession with dry mounting posters. So as soon as I got it, she was like, cool, let me take it to Michael's or whatever and get it dry mounted for you. Which good, because it's withstood, time.
No,
because that poster's like 20 years old now, and it's still in decent shape.
No, it is. You know what's crazy though? Like this has been staring at me for like the entire time we've been doing like Geek Out, basically. Yeah. I think I've just noticed it says this time we've changed more than his hair.
Yeah, in reference to his wonderful mullet from the Return of Superman.
Yeah.
You know who was the writer that got to write Electric Blue Superman when he was on JLA?
Grant Morrison.
That's right.
No, yeah.
Good old Grant.
And he made that shit work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He can make anything work, man.
Yeah. Well, he met Christ.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Starring
Peter. No, not
Capaldi.
Yeah, Peter Capaldi. Yeah.
Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
And
the thick of it.
Yeah.
Starring Peter Capaldi.
Starring Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi.
Fuck.
Yeah. Peter Capaldi. So you're reading Dick Shitloads of Superman.
Yes.
This is totally off topic, kind of, but it has to do with superheroes. I see the Red Lantern you have.
Yeah.
A couple nights ago, I swear to God,
it has working tap lights too.
Even better. I swear to God, this is not just me trying to be funny. I woke up in the middle of the night saying the Green Lantern oath. I woke up in the middle of the night and I went, "No evil shall escape my what?" And then I Googled and I woke up and I kind of felt like a sleep.
Brightest day,
yeah,
my darkest night.
I fell asleep and I felt like asleep. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I woke up like that, that following morning, and a couple hours before work, and I just like was on this like mad research of just researching the Green Lantern oath. And the different,
I can't imagine it's that difficult to find it.
No, it's not. But I mean, like, just like how many different oaths there have been.
Oh yeah.
Like,
just within the Green Lantern.
I mean, like,
or like the different corps.
Alan Scott basically was saying what we know as the Green Lantern oath decades before Hal Jordan.
Well, I mean, technically, Alan Scott's not really a Green Lantern.
I know,
right?
But like, it's you associate
He's powered by Starheart, but continue.
You associate that oath with Hal Jordan. And but it kind of all spun out of and kind of came from Alan Scott. Anyway, so you're reading all this kind of Superman stuff, reading all this Batman stuff. What is the moment that was it just the like adding on more comics after more comics and more comics and more comics that made you be like enough and kind of fall out of the comic book game?
Yeah, pretty much. Like there was a point where
how dare you? This is a Superman podcast.
But no, so there was a point where I was reading Superman, Batman, The Flash, and then all of the like cross universe shits.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Identity Crisis that finally like broke me. That I was just like I don't know who any of these fucking characters are. None of it makes sense because that's the Grant Morrison one, right?
No. He did DC 1 Million.
Oh,
no,
that one made perfect.
Yeah, the Identity Crisis is Brad Meltzer. Then there's Infinite Crisis by Jeff Johns, and then of course Final Crisis by Grant Morrison.
Yeah, all that shit. That whole era of like
choose one of the crises.
Yeah, like I was like, you guys are just trying to cash in on Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I did. That was another thing that I randomly have like a handful of issues, like of the single issues.
Your
of
dad
that.
drew it.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. My father, George Perez.
Yep.
Yeah. My father, George Perez.
Not to be confused with Peter Capaldi.
No. I changed the contact photo in my phone for my father to George Perez.
You mean of your father to your father?
Yeah. I switched it to one of his promotional shots instead of one of my candid shots.
Yes, good.
But my dad started calling me, and I was like having lunch with my sister or something like that. And she looks at the contact image. She's like, "When did you get a picture? When did you take that picture of Dad?" And I was like, "It's George Perez. He's a comic book artist." And she was
fooled you.
And she was like, she started laughing because George, it's a picture of him just like kind of making a "whoa" kind of face in like a Hawaiian shirt, and my dad doesn't wear Hawaiian shirts,
whereas George Perez always.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so it was very funny, and I was like, yes, perfect, vindicated. But yeah, so it was around that time. Actually, it was a countdown to countdown 52.
There's 52, which is the year of Fallout after Infinite Crisis, and then there's countdown to Final Crisis, leading to.
Jesus, this is why all of this shit. No, it was the series that started with issue 52, and then it was like 53. 50
or counted down.
Yeah,
that was
I guess
countdown.
that's countdown.
Yeah.
So I made it about halfway through countdown, and I was like, "Fuck this shit."
I used to have every single issue of Countdown.
Remember when we tried to give away?
I did. I gave McKay's all 51.
No. I mean, a couple, like a year or so ago when we tried to do that. Like,
I had
hey,
dupes,
ask us questions, and we'll give you a comic book.
Yeah.
And Zach was the only one that asked us questions. And
I still apparently owe him a comic book.
Yeah. We should have just given him that stack of 52.
Yeah, just like have it.
But yeah, so it was that I didn't care for that comic, and I started realizing I was like, I'm paying like, what was it, like I think at the time like $2 or $3.
It was $3 an issue.
$3 an issue for most of my comics at that point. And it wasn't just DC either. I had started branching out into like Marvel Comics, Image Comics. Various like indie, like creator-owned titles, mostly ones that like had hot chicks in them at the time.
Aspen.
Yeah. Oh, I fucking loved Aspen. I got so sad when Mike Turner died. But yeah, I had like pretty much anything that Aspen put out. I had like all the Fathoms. I had all the like random offshoots of Fathom, because pretty much it was just Fathom and its extended universe on Aspen. I got the Fathom and Tomb Raider team up comic. But yeah, so like I was like, I'm spending like $3 on these comics. I'm reading them once.
Yeah.
And then I'm never touching them again. And I was aware that most of the comic books that I'm buying have little to no resale value, because at this day and age they're so mass produced that like there's virtually no collectibles, or at least you're going to have to wait a long time and keep them in pristine condition before anything that's coming out right now becomes like an actual collectible, unless it's like Walking Dead #1. But the chances of that are very few. So I was like, you know what? I'm putting it on the back burner. I kind of gave it the South Park treatment. I was like, okay, I've hit peak enjoyment of this. If a friend comes along and says, "Oh man, you got to read this, you got to check this out," I'll read it, and like, cool. If it gets me to watch, read a couple more issues, awesome. Like Hack Slash, I'll read Hack Slash. I love Hack Slash. And any like Army of Darkness comics, I'll pick those up if I see them, because like I genuinely enjoy that content.
Did you ever read any of the Superman Alien, Superman Predator books?
I do have,
because they have the Dark Horse put together a really nice collection of the Superman Alien.
Yeah, I do have the first issue of Superman Alien, and which is weird because it's kind of a self-contained. Like the first issue is kind of a self-contained story, and like when I got it, I thought it was just a one shot.
Yeah,
and then like it took me a couple reads to see. Like the little thing teasing like the next issue. I was like, oh wait, there's more issues.
Yeah.
So I've never finished it.
Well, I remember when I was younger and like my mom would go grocery shopping at the Giant here at the Colonnade. That's back when they used to have like comics in
back
the magazine
when they sold
section.
comics.
Yeah, and I remember distinctly.
I remember when 7-Eleven sold comics.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
But I remember distinctly like there was a period where we'd go back enough times. Grocery shopping over the weeks or the month or whatever, that I basically kept up reading the Batman Alien saga, where like he has the nightmare or whatever, where the Waynes are killed by facehuggers, and it's super disturbing. But I remember
all the DC Alien books kind of are.
Yeah. You're seeing a lot of a lot of them deal with much more horrific stuff that they're allowed to show, in a Dark Horse setting than they are in a DC setting. So, okay, so at this point, you're kind of out of the comic world a little bit, like you're saying, unless you're being kind of pulled back in for certain books here and there.
Yeah, you being around you guys, at least once a week is basically my comic book exposure now.
Yeah. So, something I know I can ask you, because I was sitting here with you while we did it. We did commentaries for the Superman movies.
Yes.
And I guess leading up to Man of Steel, I think for Batman, we didn't do obviously Batman v Superman. We didn't do one. Let's just do a quick run through for the like a spark notes for the kids, for the kiddies and the dabbers at home. About your kind of take on the Superman movies, and start with obviously Superman the movie. What memories and
you mean Superman and the Mole Man?
So Superman.
I do own it on Laserdisc.
Yeah, that's right. We did do Superman the Mole Man. But we'll that's a movie. But we'll start with Superman the movie.
Yeah.
Unless you really want to talk about Superman.
I don't.
Okay,
no.
Fair enough.
The first Christopher Reeve Superman is a good starting spot. Like many people have said before, like I genuinely believe that Christopher Reeve is the quintessential Clark Kent and Superman. Like he embodies the character perfectly. And
made the transformation believable.
Yes. Yeah. I've enjoyed other actors portraying the role, but I don't think anyone has yet matched Christopher Reeve in just like getting it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's kind of that. I mean, because again, technically, Superman and the Mole Man was released, but as it's like a theatrical deal. But it's
still like a short.
Yeah, but I mean that there's something to be said, and Superman the movie was so huge.
Yeah.
It made so much money.
Yes.
That I think when someone tackles a character like that and leaves their stamp, usually as the first time,
much like Sean Connery in Bond. He wasn't necessarily the first actor to portray Bond.
Yeah,
there had been like 7 guys by then because of that.
They did like the
Woody Allen,
the Woody
and
Casino Royale, and then they did
Sellers.
Jimmy Bond on Climax.
Yeah,
Connery's the second. But I mean, the longest running is Roger Moore, and at that point, I mean, if we're counting the 1967 Casino Royale, that movie alone has like 4.
Yeah.
But
I've seen that movie, and I do not like it.
It's not good.
No,
but they have like you're saying, like with Sean Connery, it has kind of like almost like invincible status of laying the groundwork, and Christopher Reeve, I think, definitely. I mean, to this day. Really holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. And it's fascinating because with Bond, a lot of people, they're dictated by who they grew up watching, like in terms of like, oh, our era was blank.
Yeah.
And not necessarily always true, but Christopher Reeve is still like such a huge pillar of it, and I think also a lot of that has to do with how he lived his life later on. With the struggles he had, and fighting, a whole new battle, like in real life and with dignity and class. So like you were saying, the Christopher Reeve movie, especially that first one, really kind of holds up. It is dated still, like we were saying, but that happens with
outfit.
Damn, Jim, that is one bad. Thank you. But Superman just turned to John Lovitz. Thank you. And he goes save Lois Lane from a helicopter. Anyway, so continue. Yeah.
I'm just gonna giggle for a little
bit.
Yeah. But no, like I remember like renting those movies from Blockbuster and stuff like that as a kid. And
we can lump in all the Christopher Reeve ones together.
Yeah.
And kind of talk about them freely.
I remember like not actively knowing, but like the connection between Superman and Superman 2 kind of being like the first time that my brain ticked on like, oh, continuity between movies and stuff like that.
We saw those characters from the first one. They disappeared and now they're back.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Consequences.
Yeah, it wasn't just, like how Star Trek, the movie series, like, well, that's a bad example because 2 and 3. It's not like Bond.
Well, Bond,
where it's like, oh, there's this guy named Bond and he goes on adventures. You know, like it was not satirical, serialized.
Yes.
Between those two movies, it wasn't episodic, and therefore, and then that got way reinforced by like Back to the Future, so like really like being able to like latch on to like Superman and Superman 2 and be like, oh hey, these are, this is one big story, so like that was something that like got me fascinated. And then like later on down the road, I find out there's a Superman Part 3. And it's weird because Lex Luthor's not in it, and who's this Richard Pryor guy?
Lois Lane barely is too.
Yeah, yeah. And Superman holds up this S sweater, and no one realizes that he's Superman because it's Smallville.
Yep. Oh yeah, baby.
With Lana Lang.
Who eventually plays Ma Kent on Smallville.
Yes.
But of course, you get kind of a law of diminishing returns. Unfortunately, at least in my opinion, with the Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
Well, I don't know. Superman 4, I hold up a little bit higher than Superman 3, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Sam doth as well.
The only thing that keeps Superman 4 from me decisively being like Superman 4 is clearly better than Superman 3. To no fault of necessarily of the filmmakers, it has such a shitty like budget, but it takes itself much more earnestly than Superman 3. And Nuclear Man is so much more interesting to me than Evil Superman / Robot Woman at the end of
oh my
that
god!
film.
Wait. Nuclear Man is more interesting than you. Okay,
when he scratches Superman. It glows.
Yeah, like Meg Griffin from Family Guy, where it doesn't break the skin. That's the same character. No, wait. So, would you rather watch Superman fight Nuclear Man than Clark Kent fight evil Superman?
Yes.
For real? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I will come in with my own opinion.
Zoom!
And I will say that for me, the one saving grace of Superman 3 is that singular fight between Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah.
The personas.
It's the best scene in the film.
Yes, it's the best scene in the film. But the and part of it I think is one, just the fact that like probably mostly because of Richard Pryor's involvement, Superman 3 became such a slapsticky comedy. I didn't really appreciate that shift in genre, shift in tone. But then also the traumatizing nature of the robot woman at the end.
Yeah, of course.
Like I still have trouble watching that scene, much like Large Marge in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So I usually just kind of steer clear from Superman 3 just because of the campy nature and
I am not defending the honor of Superman 3.
But Superman 4, it's still camp. Like it's still, I mean, it's got Ducky in it. Yeah. Playing a shitty like an asshole Ducky.
Yeah.
And he later went on to be on 2.5 Men. But yeah, I always thought that Nuclear Man was an interesting character. You know, like
my mind is being blown by both of you saying that, because he is abysmal. I mean, from the overdub of Gene Hackman to the slow-mo fight on the moon.
so
I mean,
I
I can't
never-
believe you guys.
I think
As a child-
something should be said here. I don't think Superman 4 is a good movie. I just think it's like I would just rather watch Nuclear Man fight Superman than evil Clark Kent take on good Clark Kent.
Oh man,
that
blows my mind.
That's another place where we disagree. I would rather watch, like, between the two fights.
I feel like
I would
that's-
rather watch Superman versus Clark Kent.
I feel like that's one of the few moments in the Christopher Reeve movies where like they kind of like really took it seriously. And I mean, granted, it's goofy as shit, but like the duality of Superman.
I totally agree. That's why hands down, like, that's the best part. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure we can all
agree. It is kind of goofy though, where you're just like, he's choking and he's choking himself. But then you get, the like if you type in Superman shirt rip, the two iconic moments you're going to get is like the end of Smallville and the that scene.
Yeah,
clearly, because he's Superman again.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like, yes, if you're selecting just the fight scenes, I would much rather watch Clark Kent versus Superman, because I enjoy the duality.
Yeah.
The personification of the inner turmoil that he's having with his two personalities.
Sure.
But it's stupid that it's Tar that causes that.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be anti-smoking now 2 movies later.
Yeah.
Because the first movie was like sponsored by Marlboro. Or
well,
the second movie.
He does tell Lois
truck.
Because it was sponsored by Marlboro. But that's why he gets thrown into a Marlboro truck.
Which is funny,
why he gets thrown into the Coca-Cola sign in Times Square Metropolis. And blows up the torch on the Statue of Liberty Metropolis.
Yeah. Metropolis. Well, he does tell Lois in the first one, he's like, stop smoking. Yeah. And she's like, he's like, not yet. Like, check your lungs. Which is kind of interesting. So, again.
But then, there was something that I wanted to say about like how you were like the bad dubbing by Gene Hackman. Yeah. As a kid, I never noticed that.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that it was the same voice, even though
that's because you were
later
a baby
viewings,
and you like Superman, you fucking nerd.
Yes.
This has all been a setup just to expose you as a fucking nerd. Who likes Superman.
I open up my trench coat and it's just like 5 babies.
Baby man. Or babies, man. It's multiple babies.
Oh, babies, comma, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never. Yes, I'm defending my child version self. Like, I have more fond memories of watching The Quest for Peace than I do.
That's fair.
The Quest for Pride.
And I think the thing that I enjoyed when
the cover of Superman 3 is a spoiler to the end of the movie.
Yeah, for real, man. What I enjoy about Superman 4. Mm-hmm. Is the moment where he's because I enjoyed when we did the commentaries. I enjoyed we kind of like both all 3 of us. We watched those 2 movies and we kind of like all like had these different realizations of things. Like when we watched Rocky 5, like I remember like maybe because I was older or whatever. Read for Superman, watched for Superman. Like I enjoyed like when he went to Smallville in Superman 3. Mm-hmm. Like again, it's not great, but I enjoyed when he went to Smallville. Superman 4, I think. You could take a panel, like it's almost like a live action panel. Boom, is when he's speaking in front of like, was it NATO about like the nuclear, UN. Weapons, UN, like that. There was moments in that movie that felt like Superman. And I think part of the fun is because those movies are terrible. Those 2 movies is looking for those little moments.
Mean it's just like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
where oddly enough I disagree with Sam over which one's the more entertaining movie for me.
Yeah.
Or, well, for us. Sam won't disagree with which one's more entertaining for me.
Yeah. No, you totally like Batman and Robin better, damn it.
Yeah, listen, you fucking baby.
Yeah, babies, man.
Babies, man, Superman freak. Well, let's...
Quest for Peace.
Yeah. Let's jump, quick into Superman Returns and quick into Henry Cavill era.
So, Superman Returns... I got real excited for when it came out because this was the in between. So I just punched
Sam in the face. I know we're smaller than you, Chris, but we're not babies.
No, I am. I
That's
am
how I got
babies,
bloody.
man.
Babies,
It's
man.
like a Mega Man villain.
On my forearms, there's just like babies. But so in between Quest for Peace
Yeah, you baby.
and Superman Returns was that period where I was like, Superman's dumb for babies. And then by the time Superman Returns came out, I think that was like in the midst of my being like into comic books and reading everything. And I actually that was one of the first movies that I saw that was like being advertised as like watch it in IMAX. As like a commercial movie. So
Brandon Rouse, penis in IMAX.
yeah, that was the advertising.
Yeah. Suppose he has a huge penis. They had to digitally shrink post production.
Oh, that was like a Lindsay Lohan.
You're a big penis too, yes.
for Herbie the love bug.
Yeah.
With Michael Keaton.
Oh,
that's right.
Now, suddenly you became the announcer for Saturday Night Live.
And Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase.
And the Saturday Night Live band. Anyway, but so they weren't showing it in I think at the time the one IMAX theater, in Smithsonian DC.
Yeah.
The and Spurse Museum.
Yeah.
They weren't showing it there, so I actually drove all the way down to Newport News, where they had a planetarium IMAX.
Planetarium?
Yeah. So it was like a dome screen, and it was awful to see a movie there.
Yeah.
Because the sides were stretched awkwardly. So like if someone was on like the edge of a screen, it looked like they were like leaning to that side. And then they would cross the frame, and then they'd start leaning to the other side. It was awful. But it was a cool experience. And it was a fun road trip with me and my at the time friend Corey. He doesn't like me anymore.
Damn.
I was like, there's more to this.
Because of that movie. No, that's a different story for a different time. I had to beat the shopkeeper and his son to death with their own shoes.
Good.
But yeah, so then a couple days later, I saw it at the IMAX or the Manassas cinemas, at a much better screen, and it was great. It was lots of fun. Brandon Routh, I think, is the closest Superman to the Christopher Reeve, specifically in like look.
Yeah.
He looks like a young Christopher Reeve, and like I think he figured out, like kind of what he needed to do to get there. His movie better than 3 and 4, but not quite up to par with 1 and 2, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and I think that's the general consensus too. But did thoroughly enjoy it. I liked Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor.
I think he does better than Gene Hackman for me. Yeah.
I haven't sat down and like considered who I like better, so I can't respond in turn. But
they're both pretty terrible.
See, so
It's not necessarily their fault.
I like that kind of portrayal of Lex Luthor. Like I love like
Real
business
douche.
Yeah, I like businessman
Yeah.
Lex Luthor, like in the animated Superman stuff. But I also like eccentric nut job Lex Luthor, which is why I probably had a more fond experience with Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Still didn't think he was the best choice. I would have loved if the rumors of Bryan Cranston had been true.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what though, we're gonna put a pin in this.
Yeah.
In the word of Meatloaf, we're gonna stop right there.
Cool.
Actually, he doesn't say that. The female does in Paradise That's Relate. But we're gonna come back in part 2. We're gonna do part 2 of this, and we're gonna talk about the Cavill years and the television years.
Ooh.
See you next time.
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.